Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bon Voyage Besties, your go to podcast for travel, friendship, empowerment, and so much more. Today, Rachel and I are going to be talking about one of our favorite destinations. Even though we're both Jersey girls, we love going into New York City, which is right over the river. So, obviously, we visit New York a lot. So, this episode is going to be dedicated to planning the perfect girlfriend's getaway in New York, whether you're looking for a weekend getaway or just like a day trip. So we're going to dive right in. So again, being from New Jersey, for me specifically, I am in the suburbs. So going to New York, I feel like it's going to like a whole nother destination, seeing like the skyscrapers, getting on the train. Those are things that I normally don't do on a daily basis. So for me, I always find it super fun to just head into the city and just explore and spend a day. And I feel like New York thrives, especially now in the summer season. There's so many fun activities to do, places to eat, and enjoying the outdoors. So, Rachel, why don't you share with us what are some of your favorite things to do in New York City?
My God, I don't even know where to begin with this.
I know that's a
I
difficult one.
Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with New York City. When I was originally from closer to Philadelphia, South Jersey, and when I was 16, the school took us on a trip to New York to a Broadway show. We actually saw Wicked with the original cast. I was in the choir, so it was like a big deal. And I remember just being completely infatuated by the skyscrapers, the bustle, just so many like shops and restaurants. Even the advertisements really took me in. So it really truly is like going to a whole new destination. And I can see why so many travelers in general are just infatuated with New York City. So I have a laundry list of favorite things to do. Something that I do like to do because I live so close is I like to take myself on a solo date to New York. And this is something that could easily be a girl's trip. So I like to wake up, go get coffee somewhere, and have a cookie at Levain Bakery.
Mhm.
And the cookies, they're like the size of your face.
They're big.
They're really big, and I'll always overdo it. I'll get a coffee and I'll be like, I can have two just for me. One is sufficient. I can never finish two, and then I feel bad for wasting money. And after that, I'll just take a stroll through Central Park, enjoy the vibe, watch the people. And Central Park, it's beautiful any time of year, but I'm really partial to the spring and the fall when you have the cherry blossoms, and then the fall, you have that beautiful foliage. Then, after walking through Central Park, I love popping into the Met, which I call my happy place. I absolutely love the Met. I get lost in there for a couple of hours. I've been several times, still haven't seen it all because it's such a big museum. And then I'll take myself out to brunch and a bookstore, and then I'll go home. So that's my perfect, perfect day in New York that I've done many, many times. And I feel like you could easily do that with girlfriends. So, how about you, Rosa? What are some of your favorite things to
I
do
was
in New
like,
York?
you pretty much just like planned the whole episode. It's like, all right, done.
That's all we need. It was just a 3-minute episode. Have a good evening, folks. It's late here.
That is a perfect trip. I mean, I feel like for New York, it really depends what you're into. And that's one of the things I enjoy about the city. It's like, doesn't matter what your interests are, there's always something for everyone. And I know for myself, a lot that I hear, it's like, oh, New York City could be expensive. And yes, that's true. It could be pricey, but they also have a lot of fun activities and things that you can do that are pretty inexpensive. So one of the things I like to do, especially in the warmer season, so in the summer months, so Central Park is great because it's such a big park, so you can kind of explore different areas, very picturesque. So you can really like bring your own lunch and just enjoy. Another thing that I also like to do, which is pretty inexpensive, is take the ferry over from Battery Park to Governor's Island, and I love Governor's Island. And the cool thing is that you can also bring like your bicycle, so you like to cycle. It's super inexpensive. I think it's like $3 round trip or each way, something like that. And same thing, you can pack your lunch or you can splurge and eat. There's a taco place that's delicious. There's also a waterfront like restaurants with like oysters. So if you like seafood, it's such a nice spot. And they also have a place I haven't personally gone, but it's on my bucket list to visit this summer is called Gitano NYC. So it feels like you're like in Tulum. So you have like a tropical vibes going on and you get the scenery. You can see the skyline and all of that fun stuff. So that's a cool, inexpensive day trip. And same thing, you can just kind of explore that for the day and then you can just head home.
Gosh, I love New York City. I'm just sitting here daydreaming about all the things I want to do in New York. But it is so true. Like, we're really fortunate being right in New Jersey because we can just like pop in and out of the city. Where I am in New Jersey, thankfully, New Jersey Transit's not on strike anymore. It takes about an hour by train to get to Penn Station. But what I can also do if I want to explore Lower Manhattan is I can switch at Newark Penn, take the path in, and again, it's about an hour. So super lucky because it really is a world class destination, one of the top cities in the world, and it's so close to us. But for people who are coming from further away, who want to plan a girls' trip to New York, they're flying in domestically or internationally. How many days do you think they should allocate to avoid burnout? Because we're listing all of these things that we love, and guys, there is so much to do. And we've only talked about Manhattan. There's so many boroughs, there's so many things to do. So, how many days would you recommend for first timers coming to New York?
I mean, I guess it depends like what your interests are, but I feel like if you kind of really want to capture the essence of the city and not over jam your itinerary, because with New York City, it can be a little congested. So for myself personally, I'd rather just stay in a place where I can walk to different areas or jump on the train. I don't want to necessarily be having to take like a taxi or Uber. And even for myself, same thing where I'm at in New Jersey, I'll usually take the bus in and it's 45 minutes. And that way it's easier. And I'm also saving on tolls and on parking, which can, be expensive as well. So I would say personally, maybe 5 days. If you can, if you only have a weekend, then there's still a lot that you can do, like maybe just 3 days, like a Friday to Sunday. But if you're able to allocate a week or 5 days, I feel like that allows you to explore different areas. So like you can catch like a Broadway show. You can spend a day alone visiting like Times Square, the theater district. So depending on the interest and like even with the museums, like I haven't been to the MoMA, which is also high up on my bucket list. I've been to the Met, but again, it's huge. So you
So
can
big.
you can spend hours and you don't even scratch the surface.
Absolutely. A lot of these attractions are massive. And I agree with you about 5 days because something that I've noticed when I've traveled overseas, people ask, like, where are you from? And when I say New Jersey, people immediately think of New York, which I don't blame them. New York is iconic, no shame. And I love New York. So I take it as a huge compliment. But definitely, if you're coming from, say, Europe and it's your first trip to New York and you're coming with friends, definitely allocate a week because believe me, you're not going to get bored. There is so much to do, so much to see. It's just really an icon and it is for a reason. So, what particular do you think makes New York good for a girls' trip? I know there's a million brunch
So
places. So, off
much.
the top of my head, I'm like, oh, it's great for brunch.
I mean, the food alone, right? So it's like whatever you can think of, you're gonna find it in New York City. So that right there, a big foodie. So like check, sign me up. But the shopping is also really cool because you
Yes.
have a lot of shops and stuff like that. The malls, Macy's, which is like a staple in New York, Saks. So much shopping and the fashion, like in New York, like I just love people watching and sitting on a cafe and just seeing the outfits that girls put together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I would never think of mixing these like patterns and prints. So I think all of those things makes it the ideal thing for a girl.
Yeah, definitely. I know if I was going with girlfriends who love to shop, New York would be just perfect because you have
It'll be
Soho.
dangerous.
Oh my gosh.
Do
I
not go to Fifth Avenue.
my gosh, so Saks Fifth Avenue. When I first came to New York when I was 16, I like noticed the fashion right away. Then I came back in my 20s because I was right at Rutgers. I could pop in and out. And my family and I we stopped in Saks Fifth Avenue, and I just fell in love with Marc Jacobs, and I made them buy me a dress.
I don't blame you.
I'm sure everyone listening to this is like, "Gosh, Rachel's spoiled." I promise, I'm not. I'm not spoiled. But yeah, if your friends love to shop, New York really is wonderful for that because it really is the cutting edge with fashion. And
Yeah.
if your girlfriends love television and movies, New York is like the scene of so many movies and television shows, which is one of the other reasons I think why when I travel overseas, so many people want to come and visit New York because it's an icon of pop culture.
And that's true. And then it's also too, like there's a lot of things that it could be, like I said at the beginning of the episode, it can add up. It could be expensive, but there's so many things that you can do they're like free, especially like in the summer. So like for instance, Bryant Park, one of the things that they do, it's like they have like outdoor movie nights. So again, all you got to do, pack your blanket, pack a nice little picnic. You can get a pizza from a local spot, and that's like a very like inexpensive thing to do. You're enjoying the outdoors, you're doing something cool. You have like the view to the Empire State Building. So it's pretty iconic to be able to do these things, and like very cost effective as well. And one of the things that I like to do with my daughter Samantha, she loves Broadway and theater shows. So again, that can easily add up, but you have like the lottery, so you can sign up for that. If you're feeling adventurous, they have something called the Broadway Roulette. So you pay, say, I think it's like $39 or $49 a ticket, but you don't know what show you're going to watch. And then you're just like surprised the day of. So you can do all these really cool like activities, but it's still budget conscious as well.
Yeah, I love that because I do think there's a misconception that New York is super expensive. And it is. It can definitely add up, especially if you're not tracking your money. Like there's been times where I've come home even from a day trip and I'll open my credit card statement that month and be like, what is this? Where did all these charges come from? And then I look and they're all New York City. Another free thing that you can do that I absolutely love, it's in Chelsea, which is also in Manhattan, is the High Line. It's such a cool walk and you get a really neat aerial view of Chelsea, and there's just like greenery everywhere and little eateries, like art, and you're not too far from the Whitney Museum, which is another fantastic art museum if you lean more towards, like, I think it's American art. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I've been there. But what's really cool too about the Whitney is they have an outdoor gallery as well, which is beautiful in the summer, and you get really wonderful views of the One World Trade Center, which is really super nice on a sunny day. And just to like also mention about New York, another reason why it's great for a girls trip is New York is truly a year-round destination. I know a lot of the times we think of New York in the summer months with all the activities they have going on, or Christmas time, like New York City during Christmas. I think that would probably be their peak season, but truly you can go to New York any time of the year. So I know for me, I would go to an event, IMM, which is always in January, and it was for travel bloggers, but that's actually a really good time to go on a girls trip if you're on a budget because it's their low season and hotels aren't quite as expensive. Like I've seen hotels go for maybe $250 a night, and if you're splitting that up between friends, you can make that more cost effective if you're going in the off season. And it's still great. There's still a lot to do. Just make sure that, bring clothes for all types of weather because it's changeable.
I agree. I mean, I personally love New York City during the holidays. It gets a little busy. So if you are planning to go during that particular season, I highly recommend figuring out what you want to do, especially if you're looking to go to some of the iconic restaurants that are all like decked out with decor, making those reservations like ahead of time because it does get pretty busy. So just kind of bear that in mind if you are planning a seasonal trip. But again, I feel like New York, like you said, all the seasons are great. I, again, personally love the summer months just because we get to kind of go out, enjoy the outdoors. But the fall is beautiful. Central Park, there's other parks too. So like Washington Square Park, Union Park, they have a lot of outdoor vendors during like the warmer months and even all year round because they do like a Christmas market too. So that's also something fun that you can do. Hop around to the different stands and try some local, whether it's like local items, like food wise, or if you want to support local businesses as well.
Yeah, the markets are really cute. We actually went to one of the Christmas markets this year with Wonderful, which is a group Rosa and I are part of. We did go, I think it was a Saturday, so it was super duper crowded. So a tip would be, say if you're going for 5 days, maybe enjoy the markets during the week when everybody's at work.
But those are fun. Go like hopping from stand to stand.
Yeah, it's such a fun place. And that's the thing. Like there's a vibe for every type of girls trip if you go to New York. If you love Halloween, New York is super fun during Halloween. The decorations are great. They have an iconic parade in East Village, I think it is. So if you're Halloween girlies, you can go during then. Christmas time, there's lots of adorable Christmas brunches. Again, book in advance because I actually tried to help one of my teacher's friends book a brunch during Christmas and I couldn't even get through on the phone. So with that, just book well ahead of time. If you're more of a soft spring girly, go to the Central Park with a picnic with the cherry blossoms, beautiful. So yeah, all seasons are great in New York. I wish I lived there. I need to hit the lottery to get my brownstone that I want.
Visit.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. Don't judge me,
yeah.
guys. One day.
As you can tell, we truly do enjoy New York City. But for you, what would be some non-negotiables when going into New York?
Man, so if I was planning a trip with friends into New York, non-negotiables would be definitely with the itinerary, try to plan things in the same neighborhoods together because I think there's this idea because Manhattan, it's on a peninsula. It's like, oh, I can just like get everywhere super quick. And unlike a lot of other parts of the United States, New York City does have a really good public transportation system. I use the subway all the time. It's pretty easy to navigate, but just keep in mind that those distances can add up. So if you're planning a trip with your girlfriend, say if you're planning with me, I would want all of the attractions lumped together. So I'll give you an example. Recently, I was in New York for a conference and it was based in Lower Manhattan. So honestly, for that weekend, everything I wanted to see and do was in Lower Manhattan. You could really almost do like mini vacations in each neighborhood because they're so like unique, but don't put yourself in a situation where you're like, I want to see the Met Cloisters, which are all the way up past Columbia University or headed towards the Bronx, and then be like, oh, after that, I want to do the Brooklyn Bridge, which is on the total opposite side of the peninsula. So a non-negotiable for me would be a really smart itinerary as far as distances go, because even though you do have the subway, you really don't want to be like going back and forth constantly. And then the walking too. If you're going to do a lot of walking no matter what. So you just want to make sure that itinerary is reasonable. So how about you, Rosa? If you're planning a girl trip, what would be a non-negotiable?
For me, it would be the food.
New York has such good food. Oh my
It does.
God.
Like, I mean, the food is delicious. However, sometimes you kind of get swept away. Like, you're on TikTok or Instagram and you're seeing like these pretty places and like the decor, and they do like an extravagant like showcase bringing out the food, and you're just like, oh, I want to go there. And then you show up and like the food is not that great.
It's mid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
mid.
don't yeah. So don't fall for the hype. It might look pretty on social media, but do some research. So for me, definitely is making sure that wherever we're eating, the food is good. Because again, New York has so many different restaurants. Taste is also subjective. So maybe something that I find delicious, you might not. So, which is perfectly fine, by making sure that you're reading the reviews and not just going somewhere just because it looks pretty. So I want to make sure that I'm eating good.
Yeah, absolutely. And New York has such an incredible food scene. So don't just like hang out around Times Square and eat, which like it's kind of a rookie mistake. Just like, don't do it. Don't fall for the hype on TikTok. And that's something else you could do. Before we went live, Rosa was saying how she went on a food tour. New York has so many bomb food tours. So if you're just like, one day as a group, I don't really want to do the planning, sign up for a food tour. Like there are pizza tours, I went on a Lower East Side food tour, which was amazing. We stopped at all the iconic sites there. And then a friend of mine in my book club, and I've always wanted to do this, she did a food tour in Flushing out in Queens, and she said it was amazing. And that's something I would absolutely love to do with girlfriends because it takes the planning out and you can find all of these really cool, authentic, locally owned places that you wouldn't immediately think of.
Totally agree with that. That's a very good idea. So yeah, the food tour that I did, it was so much fun because we actually did some places in Chinatown and Little Italy, places that I had never been to before. And like they're like hole in the wall. But when I tell you the food was delicious, and like Rachel said, doing these walking tours are cool because you get to discover all these hidden gems that are right here. Even for us, like I go to New York often, but the tours are a good way, not just to discover good food, but also to learn a little bit history. And it was cool to kind of hear a couple of the nuances and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. This alley was known for this. So that was a pretty interesting part of the tour as well. And also, I was going to say with New York, like I said early in the episode, things could be a little bit expensive. So if you are planning a girls' trip and you do want to go to a cool rooftop, just be prepared that you're probably going to spend $20, $25 for a cocktail. But you're there to enjoy the scenery, enjoy the view. So yes, it might be expensive, but at least the view is going to make it totally worth it.
With the rooftops, just be prepared to spend some money because it does get expensive. My friends and I, we actually went to the rooftop in Italy and it was super cute up there, but we did look at the reviews and to be honest, the food wasn't anything to write home about. So we didn't order any food and we spent a lot for a glass of wine, but the vibes were nice. It was really pretty with the flowers and we could see the nice view and it was fun to spend time up there. So just know if you're going with your girlfriends that the rooftop bars can cost some money. So I know we talked about this in the high maintenance friends episode. Set a budget ahead of time. If there is one place I suggest setting a budget ahead of time for a girlfriend's trip, it's New York City, because that can get out of hand so quickly. Even though we're talking about all these affordable things to do, if there's one person in the group that really wants to go to all these trendy places, look out. Just prepare your bank account accordingly.
I definitely agree. And with the rooftop, I mean, another thing that you can do, you can go, a lot of them have like happy hour specials. So maybe going between like 4 and 6. So that way you're having like a glass of wine or a drink or a mocktail. You get to enjoy the beautiful views like right before you head out to dinner somewhere. So that could be a way for you to also be able to kind of experience the vibes, the scenery without having to spend $30 on a cocktail. That's probably just going to be juice.
That's so true. You'll order a $30 cocktail and be like, this tastes like Kool-Aid.
Okay. So stick to wine. Get your money's worth at least. That's the tip for the day.
Yeah, we're really talking up these Instagrammable places and these rooftop bars. They're going to be watching this and they're going to be like, we are
No,
never working
and
with these girls ever. They are giving all our secrets away and telling people not to go here.
I mean, they're fun. So don't get me wrong. I still go to them. I went, my friend Michelle, when she was here from Portugal, we did a girls trip. And it's funny because she was born and raised in New Jersey. I've lived in New Jersey my whole life. And when she came from Portugal, I was like, oh, what do you want to do? Let's go somewhere for a couple of days. She's like, all right, let's go spend a weekend in New York City. And we had so much fun. And we would go to different spots, take advantage of the happy hour. And we did that. We were able to kind of enjoy all of the sceneries and the vibes and just like hanging out, listening to music. You have the backdrop. Sometimes that can be, sufficient as well. So really just kind of understanding the purpose of the trip, the things that you enjoy. But again, New York has something for everyone. So if you say there's one must visit spot in New York that's like your go-to, aside from the Levain cookies,
My
what would that
gosh,
be?
I can't say enough good things. It's actually been a while since I've been there. I think I need a repeat trip.
There we go.
Well, I'm a fan of Central Park. I just love Central Park on a nice day. There's so much green space. It's so much fun to walk around. Something else that I really love in New York City would be going to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens that we went to in the spring if you get a nice day. I just thought it was just so peaceful, so beautiful, and it's easy to get to. If you're staying in Manhattan, you just take the subway. Park Slope has a lot of connections where the gardens are, and it's just so beautiful to walk around. A lot of great restaurants around, and something that I think would be super fun that's in the area, not too far. I have not done this yet, is take your girlfriends to the Ripped Bodice bookstore, which is a romance bookstore. I just think that would be so fun to do with girlfriends. Just go around
That's on my
buying
list.
all these sleazy romance novels. I would be all on board with that. It just seems like so fun, and they have super cute merch. I really want to go. So haven't been yet, but I would totally do that. How about
There we
you?
go.
What do you think is a must do if you're taking, your girlfriends to New York?
So even if you're a local or visiting New York for the first time, doing like a sightseeing cruise. So I did one for the first time a couple of years ago, and we took the boat and when it went to like towards the Brooklyn Bridge, you had the views of the Statue of Liberty and you get to watch the sunset. And they even gave you like champagne, and I felt like that was so much fun. And the boat that we did, it was like an older sailboat, so that was really cute and very picturesque. So if you have the time, I would highly suggest looking into doing a sunset cruise so that way you can enjoy the sceneries and the view from a different perspective. And also another one of my favorite places to go is actually the Empire State Building.
I was
I've
going
been
to
there
say
a
this
countless amount of
actually.
times and I always find it so much fun just getting to see like all the views.
To say that with the Empire State Building actually, because
And they have a lot of fun events over there too.
it's so fun. And I know it's touristy. So when people talk about New York, they ask me, what's a tourist like spot that's like totally worth it? Empire State Building all the way. And when I love to go is at nighttime, because when you go up and just see like all the sparkling lights, it's just like magical. I actually went with my mom years ago, and just going to the top of the building and seeing New York at night from above was just beautiful. It was so cool. Yeah, I was thinking that exact same thing. Empire State Building all the way.
No, I love going there and I've been there countless times. And same thing, I've gone during the sunrise, which is pretty cool to be able to see the horizon and all of the epic views. You can see the New Jersey side, New York. You can even see all the way into like Central Park. So I find that to be picturesque. It doesn't matter if you're local or if, yeah, definitely if you're coming for the first time, I definitely suggest doing that. And there's a lot of cool observatories. So like I've done the Top of the Rock, I've done the One Summit, the Edge, a few of those, but still the Empire State, that one takes the cake for me.
Yeah, I loved it. And again, at nighttime, it was absolutely stunning. Just there's something about skyscrapers being all like lit up. So, something about New York that people also ask me, especially if they're planning a trip, how are we getting around? If you're going with like your girlfriend, you may be like all dressed up nice, wear comfortable shoes. Please do not abuse your feet. There's a lot of walking, but still, people like to look cute. So, what's the best way to get around? Walking, subway, Uber, yellow taxi? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think kind of touching back on what you said before is making sure that when you are exploring, maybe kind of stick to like a particular neighborhood. So if there are a lot of attractions that you want to do, and if especially if you're staying there for a few days, finding accommodations that easily accessible. For me, walking is always like my go-to when in New York City, just because I
Same.
just find it easier. Back home, I have to drive everywhere just because of my location. So in New York, I take advantage that I can walk to different areas. However, yellow taxis are actually cheaper than taking an Uber
I
and
know.
much more accessible because sometimes you're waiting around for an Uber, just jumping onto a yellow cab if you need to go somewhere that's a little further distance, or maybe if the weather's not that great, I would suggest doing that. And also the trains. And they have the bus system, which is also pretty good. I don't really use the bus as much just because traffic can be a little bit congested. So if I need to, I would either, if I can't walk, probably the yellow taxi is my next favorite. But if not, then I'll take the train.
I agree with the yellow taxis. It really is the easiest way to get around if you're in a hurry. Because I know there's been situations where I'm waiting for an Uber and it takes them a while to get there. Because New York, again, is just very, very congested. So an Uber might look like it's a couple 100 feet away, but then it'll actually take 15 minutes. So if you see a yellow cab on the street, hailing it is a lot easier, especially if the weather's bad. And don't do what I did. I remember Women's Travel Fest, we had a happy hour. Actually, it was an opening party the night before the conference, and I ended up walking back, couldn't find a cab. It was pouring rain. I was running through Chinatown at midnight. So try not to end up in a situation like that. It's kind of not fun. And wear those comfortable shoes. I know we were talking about transportation, but when you're getting around, I know you want to look adorable in New York, but the shoes, just make sure there's something you can walk in, especially if you're in lower Manhattan, because they do have the cobblestone streets down there.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're like me, so sometimes it is easier for me to drive into the city than take public transportation. So one of the things I like to do, I always like to check Spot Hero and just book my parking pass ahead of time because that can get expensive. But I would avoid driving in if you can because the gridlock. One time I was meeting my friend around Times Square. It was actually over the Christmas holiday, and it took me 30 minutes to just go around the block. It was like insane bumper to bumper traffic. So it just gets, aggravating. You're sitting in traffic. So if you're able to avoid driving into the city, I would make sure to do that. But if you do have to drive in, just making sure that you're allocating plenty of time because they might tell you it'll take you an hour to get there. And that's never realistic. So allocate some more time and just be patient and avoid the congestion pricing because it's also insane.
Congestion pricing, yeah, that's a new thing. So that's something to be really mindful of if you want to drive in. The congestion pricing makes it expensive. But honestly, if you're flying in from, say, another state or like overseas, don't rent a car to get around New York. It's not worth it. Like Rosa said, the gridlock is insane. You're going to be aggravated. And if you're not used to city driving, like I grew up in New Jersey, there's a lot of traffic here, but I don't drive in New York City. It's just like a whole different type of driving. And if you're not used to that, it could be really overwhelming. Like I refuse to do it. So I
Yeah.
don't.
I turn into a whole nother person when I'm in New York City because it's
You
like
have to,
you have to
because
be
there's no
aggressive. Yeah.
way. There's no way you can get around. I remember my friend from work and we went to see the tree when it was all lit up, the Rockefeller tree. And first of all, we didn't reserve parking ahead of time because she was like, there's free parking in Manhattan on Sundays, which is true. The parking is free. But we ended up going through Times Square on a weekend in December, and the car was just mobbed by people. So if you're coming into New York and you're not used to driving, I don't recommend doing that either. So don't run through Chinatown in the rain at midnight, and do not drive through Times Square in December. Ask how I know.
Like avoid that. One of my hacks actually, whenever I do go into New York City, especially if it's like a weekday, there's a lot of areas where you're not allowed to park. It's only like commercial vehicle only, but usually most places it ends at 6. So I try to get there like at 5:30 so that way I can get my prime parking wherever I'm visiting, and I'll just like sit in my car for half an hour. I did that. We were doing an event in Rockefeller Center and I got there at 5:30. I sat in my car at 6 o'clock. I ran out of there and I parked right there by the ice skating rink. So I was like, and I didn't have to pay for parking. So I just had to sit there for 30 minutes. But people were looking at me the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I mean, you learn. Oh, since we're on the topic, what do you think are some common mistakes people make when planning their trips to New York? And this is something you want to avoid if you're bringing your girlfriends.
Well, I think you kind of mentioned that at the beginning of the episode is just not being strategic with where you're staying and thinking that you can do everything. So like if you're trying to do day in Central Park, you want to explore the Upper West Side, you might not necessarily be able to do that plus head down to like the Wall Street area and explore downtown New York. So just being strategic and kind of clumping things together that are within easy access to one another. And even though I'm from Jersey, I know one of the biggest pet peeves for New Yorkers in general, so please don't do this, is walking slow.
Don't walk
Just
slow. Do
like,
not. No,
yeah,
no, absolutely not. And do
walk with
not
purpose,
walk
please.
3 across or 4 across on a
Yeah,
sidewalk. People have places to be.
yeah,
Don't do
exactly.
that.
Walk with
Don't
purpose.
like stand, what is it, the left side of the escalator. Don't
Yeah.
like stand and hang out there because people are walking up. If you want to do that, go on the right side. No 4 on the sidewalk across. Don't stop in the middle of the sidewalk to take a picture. Move to the side. Like, guys, I do think a misconception people have is that New Yorkers are rude. New Yorkers are great. They're fantastic. But I think there's a saying I saw on social media, and this is really the whole East Coast, that New Yorkers are kind, but they're not nice. So
Yeah,
don't get in
right
their
on
way.
target.
Don't get in their way. They pay
More
so
places
much
to
for rent
go.
and it's busy. Like if I was paying 4,000 in rent working all day and I constantly had tourists stopping in front of me, I would get annoyed. And I'm really nice normally, but yeah, just, be mindful of your surroundings. Don't be oblivious, please.
And if you're in Times Square, please, please don't fall for the gimmicks. There's
Oh
always
God.
going to be someone trying to sell you something. It's cool if you want, especially like if you're going with kids, they have like characters there. So like Hello Kitty, you have Elmo. So your kids probably want to take pictures, but also ask ahead of time, how much do I have to pay you for this picture? Don't just like let your child go up and assume that someone's being kind and generous and letting you take a photo with
They're going to want
them.
payment.
Exactly. Or if someone's trying to sell you a CD, like, yes, I'm all about supporting independent artists, but usually those are not good conversations. So normally whenever I'm in New York City, I just have like blinders on and I just try not to make eye contact with anyone so no one's trying to sell me something. And another thing that has become super popular in especially like in Times Square, you'll see it more, is you have people pretending to be monks and trying to sell you bracelets or other
Out of
items.
the loop. I never go to Times Square, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So like avoid falling into these little gimmicks and tricks.
Honestly, guys, well, I'm not going to. I know, like online, it's popular to shit all over Times Square. I'm not going to say don't
Times
go.
Square.
Yeah, I'm not going to say don't go because it's cool to see
You
all
see
the
some
advertisements
characters.
and it's fun. Don't talk to anybody. Get your pictures and then go see something else.
And don't be alarmed if you see a naked cowboy just like walking
Oh
around.
yeah, the naked cowboy.
He's a,
Oh
he's
my
a
gosh, how long has he been doing that for? Like I remember the naked cowboy was a thing when 2010.
No, he's been around and now it's expanded. So now you have naked, semi-naked cowgirls. So Times Square is
Okay.
inclusive of everyone.
Times Square's got something for everybody. So yeah, bring your girlfriends if they want to see the naked cowboy. Awesome. If they want to see the naked cowgirl, also awesome.
Exactly.
We have something for everyone in New York. And the one thing I do love, so here's the thing. The one thing I do love about New York City for a girl's trip or any trip, it really is true. Like you'll see some weird stuff, but the good news is you won't stand out in any way. no one cares. Recently, I went to a travel conference and there was a red carpet event, and beforehand there was a happy hour, and it was in an Irish bar, and I really didn't have time to like change in between. So I showed up in this full-on ball gown to this Irish bar where people are not dressing in full-on ball gowns. Nobody said anything.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody will like give you a second glance. So that's what's really cool about it, is you can be whoever you want to be in New York, and I promise nobody does a second glance. So you and your girlfriends can have whatever kind of trip you want, and I promise no one's judging you. It's great.
I agree. Love that. Another thing that I wanted to mention too, so like, aside from like, the stopping and like the roaming around, you do your research ahead of time too, and know more or less like where you're going to, so you know the train systems, because you have a lot of different trains, like the 1 train, the A train. So kind of figuring out, knowing if you're going uptown versus downtown, it'll make it a little bit easier for you to kind of get around as well. So kind of knowing a little bit of your geography, it's gonna go a long way.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of them as a company, but Google Maps is actually really good. So if you're planning like some time out, I still do this. Google like Maps will come up with the schedule. Now, do keep in mind in some subway stations you can lose connection very easily. So just have it planned ahead of time. And do know too that the weekends the trains run on different schedules. Like even New Jersey Transit has a completely different schedule. So don't assume that because a train is running during the week that it's going to be the same schedule during the weekend, which is pretty much I feel like any big city, because during the work week a lot of people come in for the day, but that same traffic just isn't there during the weekends when everybody is home. And another thing that I want to emphasize with planning a girls trip to New York, because this has come up a lot in conversation, especially when people have asked me about New York overseas, is safety. Overwhelmingly, I feel like New York as a whole, and keep in mind there's 5 boroughs, it's for a city of its size, I feel like it's very, very safe. But just like anywhere else, be aware of your surroundings. If you wouldn't go down a dark alley at 3 a.m. in your hometown, probably just don't do it in New York City. The one thing I will say about New York City that I do like, though, is usually, especially in crowded areas in Manhattan, there are people always around. And I know for me personally, if I'm taking a trip with girlfriends or even by myself, I would much rather have that than be in the middle of nowhere where there's nobody around. So with safety, just keep your eyes open, do your research ahead of time. But for the most part, I feel like it's pretty safe for a city of its size. It's just been my experience. I know other people have had different experiences, but that's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the catcalling, I've never really experienced any any situations personally in New York where I necessarily felt unsafe. Normally, like if I am walking by myself, one time I was staying, I think it was by Grand Central Station, and I walked my friend. She was heading back home, and I was doing a press trip, so I was going to be staying overnight at the hotel. So I was like, "Oh, I'll just walk you." It's still, fairly early in the night, and I didn't realize that it was a little bit more isolated than I wanted it to be. And there was like a bar, and I had to kind of like cross by there. So I remember I called Michael on the phone. I'm like, "Just stay with me on the phone. I'm gonna like, I'm walking back to my hotel room," and it was fine. Like I didn't really feel like I was in danger. But like Rachel said, being central, I think it would be more ideal, especially if you are planning a girls trip, and more importantly, if you are going into New York City by yourself. That way you are aware of your surroundings, and you're not necessarily walking alone down the street.
Trust your instincts and don't feel bad about like, hey, if it's not a far walk, but you just don't feel comfortable and you're like, I'm going to hail a cab. There's nothing wrong with that. Like you'd rather spend the money than not, and always trust your gut. Again, I haven't had too many bad experiences in New York. I've had a lot of conversations with random strangers, believe it or not. Like New Yorkers are really good at minding their own business, but for whatever reason, I just bring the chattiness out in people. Like I've heard some interesting things and I've had some fascinating conversations, but none of them really appropriate for this
I was gonna
podcast.
say that would be for another episode.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of these days. We're gonna have a podcast behind a Patreon wall where it's like, if you want the real stories, you're gonna have to pay for them, because some of these I don't want to say for free. I feel like it's too much. I don't know. But yeah, just like trust your gut. But overall, like New York City, definitely for a city of its size, pretty safe place to be. New York City too is very used to tourists. I mean, it's one of the most visited cities in the world, so you're not gonna like stand out in any way whatsoever.
Unless you're like walking super duper slow in the
That's
middle of
the only
Times
thing.
Square.
Don't walk slow.
So then you will stand out.
Don't walk slow.
But aside from
avoid.
the safety part, I know a lot of people, like we said before, there's that misconception like, yes, New York City can be expensive, but there are other ways that you can cut savings. So, what would be some of your tips when it comes to budgeting for a girls' trip in New York?
So, a couple things that I would do. You can, if you want to, look across the river at Jersey City or Hoboken. Some of those hotels tend to be cheaper and you can take the path right in. It's not a bad train ride whatsoever. 10 minutes, you're in lower Manhattan if you're near a path station. So you could always do that. We did an episode on points and miles earlier. So if you want to bank your points and miles for a stay in New York, you can certainly do that as well. Hyatt has a really good points and miles scheme. When I stayed in New York City for Women's Travel Fest, my room for 2 nights was actually free because I used the points and the scheme was reasonable. So you could do that. Traveling during low season, January, February, March, except for St. Patty's Day, it's going to be expensive. Then they have a huge parade that weekend. So with the exception of that, you could try to like stay one of those months and then just take advantage of the free attractions like the Brooklyn Bridge, Central Park, Staten Island Ferry is free, I believe. You could get a really nice view of the Statue of Liberty, which is nice. You could go see Ellis Island, which is really cool to see as well. The High Line free. So New York has a lot of like free things to do. And window shopping is free. Like when I was there in Lower Manhattan, Prontomp's department store opened up a location there and a bag in there was like $700. But I did have fun like looking at all of like the displays and like all of that kind of stuff. So go window shopping. It's super fun. During Christmas time, the department stores really do up their windows nicely. It doesn't cost anything. And then to keep in mind, you can find reasonable food too, like Chinatown. There's some great places to get dumplings. Try it. Slices of pizza. There are plenty of places that are still really affordable. You do not have to be going to a 3-star Michelin restaurant every night. You can really make it work with every budget because keep in mind too, there's a lot of people living in New York who aren't multi millionaires. I do think there is this misconception that everyone who lives in New York City is absolutely loaded with money. And no, regular people live there too and they make it work. So there's like a lot of ways that you can cut back. How about you, Rose? Any tips for making New York more affordable?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on all the great things. Also, I was going to say there's a lot of fun pop-ups always happening in New York City. I think the account is like NYC for free on Instagram, and they share like all these different pop-ups. So like maybe I think like Ann Taylor Law, for instance, they had an event going on and they were giving away some freebies. The other day there was like this coffee brand and giving away like free coffee. So there's always something happening in New York and you can just like pop up to one of these spots and like grab something for free or like a chai latte. So looking into that, and I know like I think it's Bank of America. They have something. I forget if it's like every Monday or Sunday, but it's once a month. If you're a Bank of America card holder, one of the things that they offer is you get free museum days in different areas, and New York City has a couple on the list. So that's a great way for you to be able to check out some museums and do it for free or, very inexpensively. And if you're doing something, let's say you're going to Madison Square Garden, Chase, and you're a Chase, whether it's like a credit card or you have like a checking account or debit card, anything like that with them, Chase has a lounge inside Madison Square Garden. So if you're going to a concert or to like a sporting event, you can reserve space in their lounge. So you get to go and like eat for free, have a couple of drinks, and then do your show or your event. And then that's a way for you to be able to save money because events at Madison Square Garden can be pretty pricey, but that's a nice little hack so you can kind of get in there a little bit early and enjoy some freebies.
I never knew that. That's really awesome. It's like an airport lounge.
Basically, yeah, and it's really nice. They just redid the Chase Lounge, and they have a couple of different ones, but I think those are more like specific, like a Lexus Lounge or like a Emirates. I don't know if it's Emirates, but I know definitely the ones that we've gone to have been the Chase one. And you do have to be going to a sporting event, and you just book it online. If you go into like the Madison Square Garden website or type in like Chase Madison Square Garden Lounge, you'll get access to their page, and you just make the reservation. It's free. You just have to put in, I think, like the last digits of your card so they know you are a card holder.
Really
And we saw
awesome.
some celebrities last time we went for a Knicks game, so that was
Nice.
fun.
Who'd you see in there?
Don't ask me the name. Was it John Stark? I don't know. He's like an ex-Knicks player. So please, I don't remember. I was I was too busy eating.
So Seacoast, you can get good food for free. Like you won't even notice if there's a celebrity near you.
Yeah,
So it's well
Michael.
worth it.
Yeah, Michael and
Well
Samantha got
worth it.
photos. I was
Oh my
like at
God,
the
that's
snack
so
bar,
funny.
like loading up on the free cookies and popcorn.
That is so funny. That's amazing. So, guys, I know with this, we just like scratched the surface. New York really is like so historically rich and vibrant. Like, hopefully, at some point, we can get a lot of native New Yorkers on the show and we could do some deep dives into neighborhoods because I don't live in New York. I've never lived in New York, so I won't pretend to be an expert on all these different places. And I know this is very kind of surface level, but we will have future episodes where we do dive deeper because it really is an amazing city and there's just so much to learn, to see. I've lived close to New York, like our way for 10 years now almost, and I still haven't seen everything by any stretch of the imagination. So, do you want to do a quick fire round, New York style?
Woo, let's do it.
All right. So, pizza or bagel?
Pizza.
It's got to be pizza. It's got to be pizza, like a slice of New York pizza.
Exactly. I mean, and you can't go wrong. So, like, you'll see lines for like the popular spots, like Joe's Pizza. It's funny because during the walk-in tour that I did yesterday, we were joking around. I was like, yeah, if there's more than 5 people in line, I'm gonna go around the corner and find. It used to be 99 cents. Now it's like $1.25.
I know. I remember it was such a scandal when it became $1.25. It was all over social media. It was like, how dare you? You've ruined my dreams.
Yeah. So if you don't have time to be waiting in line, trust me, find one of the stands. This is $1.25. It'll do the trick.
It'll be good. It'll be good. All right. Museum date or shopping spree?
Wait, am I paying?
I was going to say, so for me, if I'm paying, museum date. Limited visa that I never have to pay back, shopping spree.
Exactly. You know,
Send me to Saks. I will take good care of that credit card. Just send me to Saks. I'll come out $5,000 poorer. It's fine.
All right. So this might be controversial. So Yankees or Met?
Please. Sorry, I'm a Philly girl.
Ooh, that wasn't on the list.
I know. I'm sorry. All right. So,
Literally a
so
curveball.
that was a cheat. That was a cop out. Because I don't have, a horse in this race being from South Jersey. But one of my students as a graduation gift got me a really adorable Yankees shirt that I love and I still wear. So I have to go with Yankees. So sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, but I'll go with Yankees.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Yankee fan, like Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, like, hello.
Oh my God. All the girls in college, when I went to college, 2006, they all had the biggest crush on Derek Jeter. But
I was obsessed with Derek Jeter.
Oh my God, do you know that I held his bat? No, I'm not lying. So down in Louisville, Kentucky, if you go to the Slugger Museum, you can hold like bats that the famous players use. And I got to hold Derek Jeter's bat.
That's bragging rights right there. Although I have to say, I am a Yankee fan. However, I do enjoy Citi Field, like the concession stands and the food, and like I just go to see the Mets play just so I can eat around the stadium. Like the food,
I would do that.
Another level. So Yankee fan, but I'd rather go to Citi Field to eat.
All right, let's make a trip out of it. That sounds like a lot of fun.
All right, Central Park or the Brooklyn Bridge?
I'm a Central Park girl. I love Central Park. It's just I can't help it. I'm attached. If I was a multimillionaire, I'd want my brownstone near Central Park or a penthouse overlooking Central Park.
There we go. You know, gotta manifest it. So. I'm going to second that. I love Central Park as well. And it's so big too. Like it's insane how big Central Park is. I mean, I still haven't explored every area of it. So it's definitely one of my go-to spots and it's free. So why not?
All right. So Broadway show or rooftop bar?
Ooh, I do love a good Broadway show.
Me too.
So I'm gonna have to go with that. Although, like, seeing the skyline is pretty cool, but let's go with Broadway.
Yeah. Like Phantom of the Opera, I remember when it went off Broadway and I was like, I need to see it before it closes. And it was just a beautiful experience. And I was like crying because
that was
so
my
good.
first show.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. Wicked with the original cast was good. Hadestown, great show.
Hadestown. Yeah. There's a lot of cool ones. That's like an episode right there. I mean, I've seen some good ones. If this is also too, like if you're doing a girls trip, one show that I saw, Samantha and I went to see was Six, and it was so much fun.
I've been wanting to see this.
Oh my God, I loved it. And it's short too. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes, give or take, because there's no intermission. So it's such a fun show and it's perfect for a girls trip because it's like very lively and like the storyline, it's about women power. So definitely if you want something fun and like, very lighthearted, I definitely suggest doing Six on Broadway.
So $500 surprise splurge. What are you spending it on?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go with food.
Yeah. I'm going with
Give
a
me
3
all the
I'm going with
fancy.
I'm going with a 3 Michelin star restaurant just for me. I'm gonna
Exactly.
book that table for one, have a 20-course meal, and pretend I'm in Succession.
Exactly. I'm just gonna sit right here and make sure to like make a reservation at a restaurant without a time limit because I'm like, listen, I'll be here from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So
Yeah,
just keep it coming.
that sums it up. We're all about the food on this show. All about the food. All about the food. So, Manhattan cocktail or a slice of dollar pizza?
Ooh, it depends. Is it late in the night? Then definitely give me the carbs. But I guess I'll go with the cocktail. I'll be fancy for once.
Yeah, depends on how like stressed out I am. If I well, both I would be stressed out. I could go for both when I'm stressed. Yeah, I still love the pizza. Like I love a good cocktail, but that New York pizza, man, it's just when you go to other parts of the country, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's just
I
not.
mean,
It's
although
not there.
Jersey has
Jersey
good, I'm gonna
though.
say Jersey has some good slices too, but
Jersey's really
we
good.
won't
Yeah.
we won't go into that
We're not
whole
going to go
Jersey
into the
versus New York
war
debate.
of that, I will say. And this is someone who was born and raised in Jersey. Bagels and pizza, they're good in Jersey and in New York. Like you can find them good anywhere in both of those areas. I won't speak for any other states though, because I will lose followers.
No shade to deep dish in Chicago.
I've never been to Chicago, so
Oh my
I
gosh,
I
yeah.
can't
That would be
say.
another episode. You'll have to go and then we can do an episode about
Yeah,
it. So
we're gonna do that. Girls trip to Chicago
there we
next.
go.
So, any closing thoughts on New York City and taking a girls trip?
So yeah, so if you're thinking of a new destination, so again, whether you are local to the area or you're looking to explore New York for the first time, any time of the year is a great time to visit New York City. Like Rachel said, there's always something happening and it's just like the energy in New York is just so exciting. So definitely think that it's perfect for a girls trip or even like a solo trip. Like Rachel said, just taking yourself out on a solo day into the city, it just sounds like very fabulous. So if you're looking for a destination to check out on your next trip, then make sure to add New York City to your list.
Yeah, so I hope that this was super helpful to you guys. If you're planning a trip to New York City anytime soon, feel free to drop us a DM. We'd be more than happy to help you. We absolutely love New York. And as always, if you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a follow on social media. We are Bon Voyage Besties on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of the places, so it's easy to find us. And we'll see you in the next one. Go to New York, have a good time, and we love you guys.
Adios.
Hey, later.
Bye.